So today what we're going to do is some digital art based on the work of Wayne Thiebaud, an American artist, often considered a pop artist, but slightly different than most of the pop artists because his work has a lot more sentimentality than like an Andy Warhol. So he always did these beautiful paintings of baked goods and sweet treats. And he used really thick paint to create his artwork. Today what we're going to do is we're going to read a little bit about him, and then we're going to watch a short video about him, and then you're going to create your own Thiebaud style bakery case, and at the end you're going to create your own artwork from any of the pieces that are included in this digital art resource. So let's get started. So what you're going to do first is you're going to start by choosing a background. I'm going to use the blue one, I think. And you're going to put it right up here in the corner, and then hold down the shift key, pull from the corner, and it will fill that space. And this is a piece of digital art. So with digital art, you're always thinking about the layers of what you're putting into your piece. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. And then I'm going to say Command or Control C, depending on whether or not you're on a Mac or a PC. So I'm going to say Command C since I'm on a Mac. And then I'm going to go to the next page and hit Command V, which pastes it exactly into the same spot. You can also find these up here in your menu under Edit. It's going to say Copy right here and Paste. Okay, so you can do it that way. And then the keystroke commands are right here. The way that digital artists work, usually they use commands to create their artwork. So the first thing we're going to do is choose a few baking cups for our cupcakes. And I recommend doing at least, I would do 3 or 4. And so I'm going to actually just hold down my Option key to copy them so that when you guys use it, I don't have to go back and put them back in place. But you want to try to make it, so this is the bakery case, so that would be way too big. It's pretty close to the right size when you just pull it on over. And these are the 3 different shelves. So you want to put them on one of these 3 shelves. And so I think that looks great. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm on my selection tool. And if you kind of go over these, it will tell you what each of these tools is. Okay, so I want to be on the arrow, the black arrow, and I'm just going to encompass the whole thing and hit Command C, Command V, and then before I get started, I'm just going to go up here and say Arrange, Order, Send to Back, because I want that to stay in the back and I want these to be on top. So these are actually the cupcake tops, so you guys can choose any of the ones that you want. I definitely want to do this red one over here. And obviously that's way too big, right? So you're going to hold the shift key and pull from the corner. And you guys may want to zoom in. And when you zoom in on a Google Slides, you have to come up here to this magnifying glass, which is kind of annoying, and then go 50%. So you can kind of see it's not quite on top of the wrapper. So I'm going to go down a little bit. And then I'm going to put this pink one over here. And you guys can choose any of the cake tops, any of the wrappers that you want. And just make sure it's sitting on top of there. And then I think I'll do chocolate, like a tall chocolate for the chocolate looking wrapper. And they do not need to match at all, you guys. You can do whatever you guys want, okay? So yeah, that's a little high, so I'm gonna just use the arrow key, bring it down a little bit. Come back up to my magnifying glass and say Fit. And then I'm just gonna select this whole thing, and then hit Command C, Command V, and it's going to paste in place. And then I'm going to say Arrange, Order, Send to Back. And then now this is one of the funnest parts. You get to put on your cupcake toppings, and you can layer these, okay? So for example, I'm going to take this one and move it over here, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And again, I'm going to need to zoom in on these smaller cupcakes. So let's do that. And then just kind of line it up where you want it. So I'm going to put that on as my first layer. So I'm going to come back out, and then I want to put, what do I want to put on top? I think I'm going to do this one on top of there. And let me zoom in so you guys can see that. Okay, that looks so good. It looks like marshmallow with like some yummy treats on the top. And then for my chocolate, I'm gonna just do a strawberry topping, I think. And you can also use the one with the cherry on top if you want. You can use any of these that you want, you guys. And I'm gonna use this one over here. And then I'm gonna zoom back out, fit, and then I'm gonna select all of it by just encompassing that and then hitting Command C and then going Command V. And now you get to do your cupcake toppings. So like on this one's chocolate, so I'm gonna come zoom in a little bit again. And then I'm gonna do the heart. I'm gonna place it right on top. Make it a little bit smaller. And you guys, you can add a drop shadow. One of the things Thiebaud always did was do shadows. So I'm gonna go ahead and select this whole cupcake. And then if I hold down the Shift key and click on the background, it will deselect the background. And then I'm gonna say arrange and I'm gonna group it. And this is something you do not have to do, but I wanted to show you how to do it in case you wanted to. So then I hit Format Options, and you can add a drop shadow right here. And you can choose the angle. So let's say that let's make it big so you can see what's happening here. So let's say that the light is coming from the top. So the angle is gonna be a little bit low. I'm gonna say like top, up, upper left. And you want all your shadows to match, right? So that's darker, and as you move to the right, it's gonna get lighter and lighter. And of course, we don't really want that big of a distance. We just kind of wanted to see exactly what was happening for a minute. And then you can also blur it a little bit more. So I'm gonna click off that and see how it has a nice drop shadow on it. So you guys can choose to do that. You do not have to do that if you don't want, but I just wanted to show you how to do it because one of the things Thiebaud did was always added drop shadows to his work, okay? So we're gonna fit to page, and I'm gonna continue on with adding some sweet treats on top of my cupcakes. These look like amazing cupcakes, by the way. And the cool thing about digital art, say you decide you didn't like it, you get rid of it, and you can choose something else. I think I'm gonna change to these little, little flowers here. I think they look cool. So I'm gonna zoom out a little bit and then just click and drag. And then gonna come down here to my next one. I'm gonna do raspberries on top of this one. And you guys just, you know, have fun with this. Do it any way that you want. So I'm gonna change the size of my raspberries a little bit because it's a little large. Arrange, order, bring to front on that one. So guys, you can play around with this and you can get as complicated or as simple as you like. I highly recommend taking your time and doing a good job because that's always the expectation when you're doing artwork, is that you do your best work. And since it's digital art and you can go in and you can change things and you can keep working on it until it's exactly the way you want, I think that you should aim for it being exactly the way that you want it to be. So I just copied and pasted it into my next slide, and then I'm gonna go ahead and say arrange, order, send to back. Now I get to put in some cakes, okay? So I'm gonna put in a cake over here. And cakes are a little bit bigger. And the other thing about these cakes, when they're sitting in the bakery case, you might wanna just let them, you can actually squish them a little bit by not holding the shift key if you want. I'm gonna hold the shift key to make it larger. And then I'm gonna squish it a little bit. And then I'll put the blue one down here. And you guys don't have to do what I'm doing. You can do it any way that you want. You could fill this whole case with cupcakes if you chose to, okay? It's up to you. Okay, so I like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the whole thing, Command C, Command V, or yours is probably Control V. And then these are actual toppings that you can put on top of the cakes. That looks awesome. This one, let's see, what do I want to put on the blue? I guess I'll put on these hearts. Actually, you know what, I wanted to do something that has a little more contrast onto the blue, so I'll use these. Zoom in so you can see exactly what you're doing. So I'm going to go right there, click on that, make it bigger. Oops, sorry. Click on that. Click on this. Hold down the shift key. And I'm going to try to have it fit so it looks like it's going right over the edge of the cake, okay? That looks awesome. So take your time, make sure it gets lined up. Now I'm going to put the hearts on top and you'll be able to actually see them. Make them a little bit smaller. Those look great, okay? And then I'm going to maybe even put like a little dollop of cream on top of that. And so that looks good, and then that looks good. So I want to do something with this one on the top, and I'm going to zoom out for a minute, come up here and say fit, and I think I might just put a little dollop on top of there, a little simpler. That looks good. Maybe a tad bit smaller. And then I'm going to make sure it's like in the center. That looks great. So now I'm going to select this whole thing, and I'm going to hold Command C or Control C, Command V or Control V. And now I have donuts that we're going to put on, okay? It's one of my favorite treats. So you get to pull over any donut that you want. I'm just going to do the regular cake donut here, and I'll do a chocolate donut. Actually, I'm going to just do another one with like a hole on it there. And then I'm going to do a blueberry donut here. And maybe a strawberry. And I'm going to send that one backward. So arrange, order, send backward. And click on the blueberry and the strawberry, and I'm going to move them over just a tad. And that looks great. So now I'm going to select all, and then Command or Control C, Command or Control V. And then what you get to do is you get to put on a donut topping, which is pretty awesome. So I'm just going to come over here, and I'm going to use the magnifying glass and come back over to my arrow. And I want to put on some toppings onto these donuts, okay? So I'm going to put the white one on here, and I'm going to hold my shift key, pull from the corner, and get the topping nice and set right over the top of that donut, okay? And like I said, take your time and do a good job. And make sure that it's sitting right on top of that donut. That looks great. And then I'm going to do the chocolate one here, and hold down the shift key, pull from the corner, and just set it on top of your donut. You don't want the donut to show through in the back, but you want it to be sitting on top of the donut, right? That looks good. And then for my blueberry, I'm going to use this butterscotch topping. These donuts look so good. It's making me hungry. I don't know about you guys. I'm actually going to go ahead and select both of those and just say arrange and group so that I don't have to worry about trying to work around it, since I'm doing this one in the back as well. I'm going to do purple in the back, on the back donut. And even though it's behind that other donut, I'm still going to be able to kind of give a good idea of where it's fitting on there. The one in the back is slightly smaller than the one in the front. Things that are in the foreground are larger than things in the background, right? And then I'm going to select the donut and the topping, and I'm going to say arrange group, just so that when I move them together, and then arrange, order, send backward. Okay, so let's go zoom out, fit. Okay, that looks pretty awesome. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the whole thing, Command C, Command V. So this is your final artwork, and your teacher may only have you work on this part, They also may ask you to do the next part, which is to create your own freestyle Thiebaud art. And I'm going to do one really quick. And so all you're going to do is you're going to create a square, a shape that fills that space. And then you can choose any color that you want. And so when you come up here, these are the given colors. And what you can do is you can come up here and you can say custom. And then you can kind of move this around. And this is the color that you are going to get when you're moving it around. So I think like Thiebaud really loved to use all these really light, like pastel colors in the background. So I kind of like that. I think that looks great. And then what you can do is you can come up and just choose anything that you want. Okay, so you can come up here and you can choose a few donuts. You can choose to do a cake. You can choose to do just a few cupcakes, anything you want. And I think I'm going to do a few donuts. So I like these donuts that I created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the donuts that I've already created. I want you guys to do a little bit more than what I'm doing, but you can get the idea by, let's see. And I'm going to say Command C, Command V, and then I'm going to make them larger. And I'm going to get one more. Let me grab that blueberry one. Make it bigger. It's going to be in the foreground. And then I'm going to change the size of my background a little bit. I just want it to be more fill the page. And then I'm going to hold down the Option and I'm going to duplicate this background. And I'm going to fill this with a second color, I think. So where's my bottom? There it is. So basically what I want you to do is just freestyle it. Do something that you want to do, okay? And it can be anything that you want it to be, all right? So I'm pulling those forward. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this donut, group it. I'm gonna move it forward a little bit. When you overlap objects, that creates a sense of space in a piece of art. And also when you take items, make them smaller as they recede into the distance, that also creates the illusion of space. So instead of having all of them the same size sitting next to each other, if you have them overlapping and changing sizes a little bit, then that's going to make it look like it has depth, okay? So that looks awesome. I mean, you guys are going to do better than I did, but you get the idea. So this is your freestyle piece of art. And then your teacher may have you fill out a KWL chart and a rubric. So I hope you guys have fun with this.